You're listening to the Superman Super Show, episode number 52, The Construction Scam. Hello and welcome to the Superman Super Show. I'm a host. My name is Steeven, and 1,000 miles over there to my right is another host, Mr. Ed Moore.
That's me. Howdy.
How's life treating you, Ed?
Well, about as well as can be expected. You know, I would complain, but it doesn't do any good. So we just soldier on.
You, of course, remember the great sitcom Cheers, right?
Yes, indeed.
It was one of the best moments in an episode when Norm would come into the bar and everybody, Norm!
It's a dog world.
Yeah. How's it going, Mr. Peterson? Or how you doing, Norm? And he always had something funny to say.
Yep. It's a dog-eat-dog world, Sammy, and I'm wearing Milk-Bone underwear.
Right. Apparently, the first time he did it, they hadn't planned on making that a running thing, but they got such a reaction from the audience that they decided to they put it in another one, and then just became a thing.
Must have been unscripted, and he just threw it out there as a stand-up
like
comedian.
that, yeah.
So yeah, I could see that. One
of the creators of that show was on I think the Conan O'Brien podcast a number of months back. They were talking about that.
You haven't mentioned on the show, but one and or both of us have been dabbling in non-Facebook, non-Twitter social medias to see what others have to offer. And the two that come to mind, one, I think definitely. The other, I don't think maybe you're on there, but I am. Spoutable, both of us are on.
Yes.
And you can find both of us by name, or you can also find me by Miskatonic. That's my handle. On Spoutable, you can search either the handle or the actual name, kind of like you can on Twitter, but it works a little better on Spoutable, actually. And the other one that I dabble in just to see what it's like is called Mastodon.
Yeah.
You're on there, but you haven't done much, right?
I haven't. I still don't quite understand Mastodon enough to.
Yeah.
The whole. It's whenever I hear people talk about it, it sounds just so bizarre with the different servers and everything. But then yet they'll tell you that doesn't matter though. You can still type in somebody's name, and regardless of what server they're on, you'll find them and you can follow them. And I don't know. I've tried looking. I get zero. I get barely any engagement on Mastodon at all. And Twitter, I'm lucky if 4 people see something I tweet. Spoutable, on the other hand, I get a lot more engagement over on Spoutable.
Spoutable is much more non-political. Actually, so is Mastodon. At least for what I see. And a lot of that is the fact that, of the however many thousands of people, I've only managed to follow like 40 or whatever. So, I mean, that's going to... Now, there are some features on Spoutable already that I wish were on there. I wish there was the ability to mute words.
Yeah.
I desperately want them to do that. And I don't know how you can mute people.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
You have to just not follow them is the only, or unfollow them if you're following them. So, on Twitter, you could turn somebody off temporarily, and then over a period of time, whenever you want to, turn them back on,
and I'm sure those kind of features are coming. For example, they don't have an app yet, and I know that's coming.
Right. It's true.
They didn't have, I think they fixed it, but for a long time, if you were like going through your timeline and then you saw a spout you liked and you clicked on it to see what the look through the replies, go back to your timeline, took you all the way back to the top. It didn't take you where you last were. And that was really annoying. But he eventually fixed that. Does it? Okay. I think it just depends maybe on the browser.
Okay, yeah, because I do that, and I've learned, of course, to right click and open
But
another tab. But yeah, mine still does that if it's
and
changed.
I know that they will be fixing that and other stuff.
Okay. Yeah.
The guy who created it, basically, Chris Boozy, I don't know his name.
I'm not sure.
He's on there all the time, and
Oh, okay.
typically, if you can spout something like, "Hey, can I mute words? Can I mute people?" Is that something? You'll probably end up getting a response from somebody on there that is in the know that will tell you, yeah,
Okay.
that's in the works, or we'll add that to the list. He,
Okay.
when he first started the whole thing, he did a big, like the first however many people that signed up before it even launched. Because I was one of them. He sent a big survey to. It's like, what do you want out of this? And he asked a bunch of questions, and then however people voted, that's what he did with the site. And for a lot of stuff like that, it's been mainly what folks have asked for. But the big thing that tore through Spoutable after the first week or so that it launched, though, was the whole they don't put porn on there.
Oh, yeah.
And that was, he asked everybody before, do you want this to be a place where people can post pornography? And the vote was no. And so I won't allow it. And oh my God, some angry people on there for a while. It's pretty.
My usage of both Spoutable and Mastodon is as a, people are talking about it. Let me go see what it's like.
Yeah.
Because now I will say, for me, I have noticed Twitter not functioning as well as it has in the past recently. But beyond that, I don't see more of things that I disagree with or don't want on there than I did before. But then I've muted people and I've muted words and I've blocked people and I've done all of these things to where unless a friend of a friend of a friend likes somebody or something, I don't see all of the poo-poo that everybody else says is just rife and it's everywhere. And I'm like,
and that's, I think that was something you pointed out to me when I complained about that. It's like, well, just don't follow those people. And I was like, oh, well, I guess that makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, or if they, if they put something up, if they retweet something, you can either block that other person or whatever the offensive concept is, pick out those 2 or 3 words, Trump, and mute the word. And so any tweet that has that is not going to come through. And so, I still maintain people, and it's funny because on both Spoutable and Mastodon, people have come from Twitter so that they can go somewhere else and show you examples of what's on Twitter and bitch about what's on Twitter. And I'm like, I thought your point was to leave that behind. Why are you dragging it over here, regardless of what's going on?
That cracks me up too. People who I see them a lot on Spoutable. People who are like, oh man, I'm glad I'm over here because there's so much crap over on Twitter, for example. And then they start putting screen, and it's like, that's what I came over here to avoid. And you're telling me you're doing the same thing, but yet you're showing me. Billy says that 90% of what he sees is comic books, films, and soccer related. And, I think that's the biggest problem with Twitter is the soccer related tweets.
Well, we're going to have to try to, get a handle on that. But Fordham and, some of those other, it's just, I don't know, which actually that brings to mind AEW in August is going to be in Wembley Stadium for anybody that's listening that is wrestling fans and doesn't know about that already. Wembley Stadium. That's awesome. But I still maintain people complaining about what's on Twitter. It's like it is a function of who you follow. So, I understand that you have certain philosophical or political bents, and so you follow those people. Okay, but understand that people who don't agree with them are going to follow them also and comment and get in arguments and whatever.
Yep.
Until those people that you're following, that you're interested in, block those other people. And a lot of people don't. They just let it go, or, so you're going to see all of that fighting because the people that you're following don't put a stop to it. So it's still a function of who you follow. That's what you see.
Yeah. Doug says it took him a long time to get his Twitter feed to get content he wanted.
Yep.
And, I think that's part of my problem is that when I start to actually put the work into it, I'm just like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
Go off and do something else. It's like, I'll just put up with the crap,
But yeah, it's a weighing thing,
Yeah.
To have Twitter be what I want, how much am I going to work on it to do that? And
exactly. Everybody's got that line.
Yeah, you have to find that common ground to do that.
How much is going to piss you off before you start doing more work, right? Yeah.
Or you leave it. That's all I'm doing today. I'm not messing with it anymore.
Right. Yep.
Billy, soccer fans are savages everywhere. And Professor Allen, were he listening, he could attest to that as well, I'm sure. And who else? There's somebody else that I found recently. Paul Hicks? No, I don't think he's a soccer person necessarily. Somebody else that I listened to a lot of their podcasts over the years, I've recently found that they're a soccer fan as well. It's been in DM. Well, yeah. The DM groups actually now seems to be the way to go to avoid.
I have no idea.
It's
I don't know what that is.
It's a group of people, like how you can make lists.
Yeah.
Only when like you and I talk, we talk on a DM. Well, you could send a DM and you can list a group of people.
Okay.
And then everybody that responds sees those comments, and only those people on that list see the comment and can interact. So
like a group text.
Yes. Yeah. Or a specific group chat on a chat.
Nobody's invited me to one of those.
So, that's, usually they're around topics, everybody that's interested in a certain thing, they get somebody puts out a group and so, but yeah, that's definitely the way to go.
All this soccer talk going on in the comments makes me think of how the new season of Ted Lasso is really good so far.
Doug or Billy may watch Lasso. I'm not sure. I don't.
I think Doug has said that he likes Ted Lasso.
Okay.
My daughter's been watching it with me, the new episodes, and it's
Chris Parton, I think, became a fan of Lasso.
That's right. Billy says, "Hey, I have you, Ed." Yeah, that's right.
We do now. Yep, the three of us.
Yes.
So that's there's Billy's on another one that I'm on, and it's got probably maybe 20 people on it. The super bloggers. Have you seen? Super bloggers will put out a topic.
Peter Rios has done. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a group for people that have participated in that, and then I'm on another one with. I forget what that one is, but I think it's a podcast too that somebody invited me to, and I haven't done anything for yet. But
and I joke, nobody's invited me, but there's almost a part of me that's like, I'm okay with that. Because, for example, I have two brothers, an older and a younger. I'm the middle child, probably explains a lot. They will often, they don't do it very much, but every once in a while, one of them we have a group text going, and one of them will send out a text, and the other one will reply. Then they'll go back and forth for like hours, and my phone will bloop, bloop, bloop. Yeah. And at one point, I was like in the living room, both of my girls were in there, and I think I said the F word out loud or something, like, man, what's going on? And I told him, I said, my brothers won't shut up in this stupid text that's blowing up. And so one of my daughters goes, well, why don't you just mute it? And I don't know how to do that. And so she got my phone. Bloop, 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 bloop. She goes, okay, but that just means that every once in a while you're going to want to look to make sure you didn't miss something.
Right, because you won't hear it come through. Yeah, so you'll have to look to see if it's about you. Yeah. Yeah, I've done that with a couple things too. Facebook, there's a couple group things on Facebook that I'm like, I don't want to listen. I'll just look in when I have a chance.
So if I ever got into a DM group like that, I would definitely have to shut off the notifications because that would drive me nuts.
Okay.
All righty. We ready to get into this story?
We are ready.
All right. So today we're looking at the construction scam, which is the fourth and final story to appear in Superman issue number 6. According to Mike's Amazing World of Comics, this was written by Jerry Siegel with art by Paul Cassidy. Superman number 6 has a cover date of September/October 1940, but an on sale date of July 10th. And here's what happened in this story. When a department store collapses due to use of inferior building materials in its construction, Clark Kent visits the head of the construction company, finding him murdered. Unable to turn up any evidence other than the fact that the killer was missing a finger, Clark and Lois visit the construction site of a new stadium. The guard harasses Clark, who complains to the head of the company. Learning that the company president, Mr. Jackson, is missing a finger, Clark suspects him of murder. As Superman, Clark investigates the stadium, finding it inferior in construction as well. He also learns that the mayor is grafting from its construction. The stadium opens and collapses as well. The Man of Tomorrow is forced to let Lois be injured in order to save some children. He rushes her to the hospital, then returns to force confessions from the men. When he returns to Lois, she requires a blood transfusion, so Clark pierces his own skin and allows his blood to be used to save her life. Whew. What do you think of that one?
It sounds full, but it's not as full as that previous story.
No, not at all.
And this section here about the allowing some children, or saving some children and allowing Lois to be hurt. In reading along with John Wilson's Superman in Crisis podcast, recently, one of the recent couple of episodes that he's put out had a story about Superman that for the first time, personally, that I read where he had to make a choice. And he ultimately let a carload of people drown in the river because he had to save a building that was toppling over.
Yeah.
And they used that as an issue that he was going through. Ultimately, he was starting to hallucinate, and the ghosts of the people that he had to let go came to him and told him, the greater good, and we don't harbor, and, and so that finally put his conscience at ease. But I thought, I've thought in the past, well, I wonder if Superman ever has to deal with that. And here, just within the past couple of weeks, I read a story where, actually he had to make that call, and someone, unfortunately, did not survive.
Yeah.
Here, it wasn't that bad. I can't imagine this early on they would let it go to that extent. But, she gets hurt. Although when he finds her, she doesn't seem to be that hurt. But later on, when he goes back, she is very much that hurt. And so I'm like, yeah, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. She has a crap ton of bricks and cement fall atop her. And yet she's like, oh, I'm okay.
Yep.
Okay. We get another first in this issue.
Uh-oh. Okay. What was it?
Superman uses his microscopic vision for the first time.
Does he? Or did he use it to look at the plane in the previous story at the beginning?
That was his telescopic vision.
Telescopic, yes. Okay. Because I made a comment or I made a note, why did you not use your X-ray rather than telescopic? Yeah. Because it would have done so. And this is
I'll tell you what, though, in the previous story, going back to that real quick with the thief in his apartment, I bet he's from that point on, he uses his X-ray vision before he goes into his apartment every single time now.
Yep.
Yeah. Make sure there's no thieves hiding in the freaking closet.
And we didn't mention, I don't think, but when he first went into his apartment, it was not the way he had left it.
Right.
Somebody had been rummaging around, and he noted that, but he's like, oh, I must have just forgot to close it or something. So he knew something was up, but he didn't rely on his intuition to be correct. He's like, no, it's it. So.
That shows you his experience at this point, because otherwise you think he would have went, just to be safe, let me do a quick X-ray scan.
Yeah, today, if a cushion is out of place in his apartment, I'm sure he's doing everything.
Well, and it makes you wonder, because that when it comes to those various powers, of course, he has to focus to use like his X-ray vision. It's not just on all the time.
Right.
But, I would think, if it was me, every time I come home, the first thing I would do before I even go inside is just a quick scan, just in case, just because,
Exactly.
Is there a thief waiting for me?
Right.
Are there
Not
dishes that I have to do
or anything? It's just, really. What did I forget to do? Let me look around here and see. Yeah. Oh, I got a vacuum. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is the story that I referred to last episode. Although he has all of his fingers, but they show him as like this. Where's the camera? With the finger curl.
Yeah.
You're thinking, well, he's missing a finger, that it's like this. He's missing a finger. But no, it shows it, and he's got it bent under and still manages to use these others, even with the. I'm like, why didn't he just cut the thing off? Because it's going to make more sense that he was in World War I and lost a finger or something. I don't know. He's a crook. Did they lose fingers?
Yeah, the text even says I got kind of confused there, because they show him like that.
Yeah.
But it says Clark notes to his amazement that Jackson's right hand possesses only 4 fingers. And I'm like, 1, 2, 3, 4. No, those are 5 fingers. One of them just he can't use.
Right. One doesn't work, but they're all there. So I don't know.
I guess that means if you break your leg up, only got one leg.
Only one leg. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what that other thing is, but you've only got one. Maybe that was a breakdown in notes as far as what to draw.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. This one was all right.
I enjoyed the previous story better than this one.
Yeah.
But I will say this is kind of a different premise as far as the shoddy building materials and 2 rather large structures succumbing to the fact that it was inferiorly done. Inferiorly, if that's a word.
It is now.
Okay. Make it so. Yeah, I just quoted the Oxford Dictionary earlier today on Twitter, as a matter of fact. So
we meet this cop in this story, an officer, Sergeant Clancy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if we've met him before, but I think he shows up in the next Action Comics issue.
I think so. Maybe it's going to be a running thing that he's because what he does here is, Superman avoids him because he's wanting to bring him in, like all of a sudden out of nowhere. It's like, oh, okay. Well, you need to come down to the, it's like, what?
And at the same time, we have the moment where Clark finds the guy dead, and then Sergeant Clancy shows up, and he's like, boy, it just seems like every time there's a dead body, you're here, Clark. And, and
you're always here. Oh, just lucky.
I don't know if they're setting Sergeant Clancy up to be that guy that's always trying to either arrest Superman or arrest Clark.
Pin something on one of them, because one of them is responsible. They're always there.
Superman swims in wet cement.
Yes.
That was interesting.
After, and I thought this and didn't mention it, last episode, how long did he swim and push that boat? Because they weren't near, or they wouldn't be using a boat.
Oh, no. Yeah, it was to Central America.
He's swimming for days.
Yeah.
In the 1940s, it would have taken days for a trip like that.
And most of it underwater. Because once they started shooting at him, he went underwater and started pushing.
They even said, well, he's not come back up.
Yeah. So I'm assuming every couple of hours he did like a whale and then back down and started pushing.
Yep.
Did you notice the first panel in this story, the splash panel, as I like to call it?
Nothing is jumping out about it. Because the eagle is carrying Lois.
The giant eagle carrying a woman? That's so weird. And it looks like he's just swatting at it. Get away.
I assume that's Lois, but yeah, you're right. It doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
does that even come into play at all in the story?
No,
okay.
they mostly don't. But I love sometimes they're so weird. That opening panel is just so weird, and this is a big eagle carrying a woman, and that may or may not be Lois. That's just.
And you're right. Yeah, it looks like Superman's just swatting at it.
Yeah. So we've Superman obviously is in the same universe as the Lord of the Rings.
Yes.
Is the big eagle.
Yes.
I love the guy at the construction site. We get another chance to see Clark be a big weenie wimp. And the guy doesn't want him no, we don't allow people here at the construction site. Pushes Clark over. So Clark goes to complain to the manager.
Yep.
I want to speak to your supervisor.
Your people are being aggressive.
Yeah.
And then the manager is aggressive. Well, no, the manager's not aggressive. That's where he finds that the manager only has 4 fingers.
Yeah.
Just like the, fingerprints on the dead dude, right? That's what it was, fingerprints?
Yeah, finger on the guy's throat.
Yeah,
that's what he saw with his
impressions on
the guy had a gun in his hand, so Clark's telling Sergeant Clancy, "Oh, you scared me. I thought you were the murderer. See, there's a dead body." And Sergeant Clancy's like, "No, he obviously committed suicide." But Clark's like, "No, he didn't. But I can't say that because the only reason I know is because of my microscopic vision."
Yep. Okay.
Superman falls into a cement mixer. And that's not the scene that he swims in concrete.
No, that's a different scene. Much more streamlined story.
Yeah. There's nothing really crazy to point out in this one, though. The stadium does have a children's section.
Yes, every stadium I've been to. Yeah, no, I've never seen that. So,
all right, here's a crazy part. I don't remember who these two guys. After he saves Lois and rushes her to the hospital, he goes back to get the bad guys, tucks one under each arm, and then tucks them both under just the one arm, leaps up to the airplane and hangs them from the landing gear.
Yeah, I noticed that. I'm like, where's the other guy? I don't. What? Yeah, I don't know if he's already hung no, because he's got them both here. Yeah, that top panel there, it's like, well, he's got the one dude, and you see here, okay, you can see the face and then the legs.
Yep.
And I guess the assumption is, well, the body's in between those somewhere.
Yeah.
Because you can't see.
And then his that's how he forces the confession out of them, is like, pretty soon this plane is going to land with you guys on its, underneath its wheels.
Hanging off the wheels here, so.
And then we almost get a She-Hulk moment here when Superman does a blood transfusion.
Well, she has his super blood, and what is it the doctor says? It's incredible. Your blood conforms to all 4 types. Ooh. I don't know. All 4 RH factors in a human being. I'm not sure that would be a good reaction to have there. So,
but it makes me wonder, because this is the kind of thing that you would see somebody today do a story that would, it's like, remember when Superman did a blood transfusion with Lois? What if we kind of brought that back today, and suddenly Lois is developing these superpowers, and we find out because this, just wonder if that has ever happened. If anybody is, Grant Morrison always liked to do stuff like that, grab something. His was always the Silver Age typically, but.
Well, and speaking of the Silver Age, if this was a Silver Age story, of course, she would develop 3 heads and 8 arms.
Yes.
Because of his blood. So it's, if it were a Haney story, right, Billy? Bob Haney would have her like with 6 legs, or a centaur's body, or something like that. She would turn invisible from the neck down, or whatever.
In the Golden Age, Superman giving Lois a blood transfusion is the end of a story.
Yes.
Whereas the Silver Age, that's what would kick the story off.
That's where they would start.
Yep. Yeah. All right.
Well, I did make a note about how Clark prepares himself for the blood transfusion.
Okay.
He tears open his own skin, is what the narrator tells us.
Yeah.
That
Did that not alarm the doctor in any way? Here, let me go ahead and. Oh, you've already got a big gaping hole in your arm.
Oh yeah. Well, here we'll put the tube there, and we'll.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Or, because we don't see. We see him stick his finger in his arm. Basically, is what he's doing.
Yeah.
He's poking a hole into his arm into his bicep, and then it goes directly from there to him laying on the bed with the tube already coming out of his arm. And so did the doctor go, all right, let's get you. Oh, there's a hole there. Well, we'll just stick this tube in. Or did Clark go, here, I'll do that part of it. I'm medically trained.
I'm kind of squeamish. Let me
Right.
start it. Yeah. I don't know, but
because that was weird. And it's interesting though that he can pierce his own skin.
Right. It makes
me think of one of the things that John Byrne added to the Superman mythos, which was that the way he would shave, he had like a piece of the little rocket ship that brought him to Earth, and he would fire his heat beams into that, and it would ricochet onto his skin and burn his hair off. And that's how he would shave. It's the only way he could shave. His razors wouldn't cut through his hair.
What does the rocket ship have to do with it?
Because if he used his heat beams on a mirror, it would just melt the mirror. It wouldn't reflect off.
So there's nothing
it had to be that
strong enough to reflect.
Yeah.
Okay.
Had to be special metal.
Okay. All right. I could say, yeah. I'm thinking, what's special about the rocket ship? Well, it can stand up to his heat beam. Okay. I got you.
I got a guest.
All right. What up, dog?
She loves me so much.
So to speak.
All right, go on.
All right. That's all. That's enough. Pet me. Okay, that's enough.
She just wanted her 30 seconds of fame.
Typical of cats. They're very flighty creatures.
Yeah, the other night, it's been getting up to like the mid 70s here during the day, the last few days. And so the other night we had all the windows open and we just left them open. We went to bed and there had been a rainstorm that night, but it dropped below freezing in the middle of the night. And I woke up at one point and the blankets were off of me. I had just a bit of blanket over me and my feet were out and I was just shivering.
Cold,
and it's at that point that the cat Socks jumps up on me and starts snuggling with me. And I'm like, I need to get up and close that window, but she doesn't do this very often. So
the sacrifices we make.
Yeah. And then eventually, of course, about 5 minutes later, she's like, all right, that's enough of this. And she leaves.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been getting that warm, but fortunately it hasn't gotten that cold here at night. So.
Well, that's freaking Kansas for you. It's just a joke in Kansas that if you don't like the weather, don't worry about it. It's going to change then the next day anyway.
Wow.
And this is the time of year. Yeah, it'll get really warm. It's like you almost have to run your air conditioning during the day and then your furnace at night.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that would annoy me because I don't want to do that. I want to do it one way or the other, whichever.
Yeah, we don't put the air. I mean, we don't have central air. We have a window unit, but we don't turn that on until it stays warm throughout the night.
Yeah, too warm, and we need to do something. Yeah.
All right. Anything else you want to say about this issue?
Nope. I think I'm done with that one.
All right, folks. Well, thanks for listening to this episode of the Superman Super Show. My name is Steven, and that's Ed over there. And until next week, bye.
Ciao, Bella.
Ciao, Bella. You've been listening to the Superman Super Show. Questions and comments can be directed to the Superman Super Show at gmail.com. You can follow the show on Twitter under the handle @SoupsSuperShow. That's @SUPS Super Show. And continue the conversation at the Super Show Forum at forums.justanotherfanboy.com. We also encourage you to rate the show wherever available and share this podcast with a friend. All links will be in the show notes.
Superman is a copyrighted feature appearing in Action Comics magazine.